are. Canada's biggest landlord is the City of Toronto. You know, it's not Minto or Greenwind or anybody else, it's the City of Toronto. We're the biggest landlord in Canada. We're the biggest provider of affordable housing. We have control of all these development policies which are about housing. And when they have an affordable housing conference, who do they invite? They invite Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, none of it. I like none of it. I've gone canoeing in none of it. The people there are wonderful, and it's beautiful. But they're all at the table in a federal provincial housing conference, and the City of Toronto isn't. How can you possibly develop housing policy without the biggest landlord in the country when it's your sixth largest government? It's nuts. And we collectively, there'll be some event that'll shake us out of this. You know, we gave it a good try and we got a lot of money invested, but it has to change. And I think that's the biggest issue, not just for the city government, for the country.
Okay, well, we'll leave it there. I think that we've pretty well squeezed you pretty good for information here, and you've done a brilliant job.
I was just getting rolling, John.
Well, before they all go rolling out on us, we'll probably call it a day, and thank you very much. I know that Matthew Church, who is the chairman of the Public Library Board, wants to come up and give you a few words of thanks.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
I just have a few minutes to say thank you to a variety of people, and I thought I would start actually with the sizable crowd who are here tonight, a really engaged and interested crowd. It's very, very gratifying to have you all here, and it actually bodes well for the future of the city, I would argue. Thank you also to John for hosting an extremely interesting and entertaining evening, so much appreciated, and also, of course, to your worship, David Miller. Continuing that vein for a moment, I want to take a few minutes to acknowledge the mayor's role, the tremendous support, in fact, that Mayor Miller has offered the library over the last 7 years. As many of you know, he's been an outspoken advocate for literacy, literary culture in the city, and he's been the Toronto Public Library's biggest fan and booster over those 7 years, and from time to time we've needed it, and it's been deeply appreciated. As Jane mentioned earlier, he attended countless branch openings and reopenings and ribbon cuttings, the Keep Toronto Reading Series, the One Book program, innumerable different events that we both attended. It was meaningful. It was meaningful to the people who attended those events, it was meaningful to the library staff, and it was meaningful to the board. Having been at all those events all those years, there's certain things that I know very well about David Miller, because he seemed to say the same things repeatedly. One, and I think this is an important, he spoke so often and with such deep and abiding affection and respect for his mother. And he would talk about her role as a teacher librarian. And it was a visceral connection that he made with library staff and with a great many people when he spoke that way. And it was a very powerful message that he sent. He's also been particularly proud in boasting that Toronto is the busiest public library in the world.
No, it's the best. The library always says it's the busiest. I say it's the best. And you knew I would do that. This is a setup, because I do every time.
It's been a bit of a problem, you see, because librarians are precisians by nature. They want to be absolutely precise, and they're not entirely comfortable with the idea of saying that it's the busiest. Well, you know, by many criteria it is. We all agree, in fact. We all know, in fact, that it's the best. But just a couple of statistics to back up one argument in favor of its being the busiest. In 2009, circulated more than 31 million items to 2.7 million citizens. It's unbelievable numbers that are unmatched to anywhere in the world. 71% of Torontonians report using the library in the last year, and 51% of the population are card holders. So just a little plug for the library. Most importantly, and I'm not going to go on for much longer, we've had a mayor for the last 7 years who understands, like truly gets, that libraries are not just about reading, not just about literacy, but they're actually about community. They're about coming together. They're coming together in a safe, open, supportive environment. There's equality of access and opportunity In other words, they're central to the life and to the future of our city. So we have a couple of little gifts that we would like to offer the mayor, and perhaps your worship, you would join us over here for a moment. Recently, the mayor picked, for the Share the Books You Love campaign, chose a particular book that was a childhood favorite called Minnow on the Say. We happen to have acquired a first edition copy, which was printed just a couple of years before your birth, I believe, for presentation to you. Most particularly, Edward Artizone is the illustrator. I'm not sure if he was on the book that you remember, but without a doubt, one of the most extraordinary illustrators in the world, in the history of children's literature and elsewhere. So that makes it particularly fabulous that the library staff has come together and acquired a reproduction of the cover by Edward Artizone. And this is a British book written in the 1930s, I believe, but it's got a canoe on the cover. So there was some sort of anticipation there. So, Mayor Miller, on behalf of the library and the staff, and as a citizen member of the Toronto Public Library Board, of the citizens of Toronto, thank you for your support. And if you wouldn't mind, there's one other thing. The staff actually got, here, if you wouldn't mind taking that first of all, the staff actually got together and created a unique bookmark on behalf of all librarians, and this is particular, it's a recommended reading list for a retired mayor. And if you wouldn't mind reading a couple of times. I thought I might ask the mayor, you need glasses?
No.
I thought I'd ask the mayor if he might read a couple of examples of our suggestions.
As I was fiddling with this, Matthew graciously reached in his pocket and said, "Do you need glasses?" And I was delighted to be able to say no, because I wear contacts. I am so incredibly touched, first of all. You got no idea. This is exactly the book, exactly the cover, when I was a little boy in England, in my last year of school there, when my mum sent me away from her school, because she didn't want me to be in her school, and I had to take the bus every day to Cambridge at 8 years old. Took the bus every day, and they read this, and my teacher made a point of telling me that this was a book I could always remember where I'm from. So I'm incredibly touched that you do that. It's exactly it. This isn't my copy, is it? Well, it is now. And it was, that's where I'm from. I love the book because it's all about literally where I'm from. And the little boy reminded me of who I was as a boy. I'm so touched. I'm speechless. Well, I'm not, because I'll go on forever if you let me. But so, Mayor David Miller's recommended retirement reading. Number 10, Hooked on Books, Confessions of a Librarian's Son. You made these up. I got to read the whole thing now, don't I? Okay. Number 9, Heart Smart Cooking for Expat Brits. Can you have your bubble and squeak and eat it too? This is good. I was getting all serious with Minnow. Now I can have fun here. 8, Get Out of My Life. But first, can you take me and Cheryl to the mall? A guide to the modern teenager. Oh boy. I can't tell 400 people the conversation I had with my 15-year-old daughter last night, but it made my hair go gray. 7, Born to Run, Behind the Scenes with David Miller and Bruce Springsteen. 6, Mayors with Brooms, the sequel. 5, The Broom in Canadian History, Political Metaphor and Agent of Change. Number 4, Scrums, Packs, Blindsides, and Mauls, How Rugby Prepares You for City Hall. That question was a setup. The Rotunda Diet, How to Become a Skinny Guy While in Office. Number 2, Twitter for non-mayors. And the number 1, Mayor David Miller's recommended retirement reading, Career Transition, What to Do After You've Had the Best Job in the World. You guys are great. Thank you. That is so fabulous. Really. Thank you. Thank you.